I'm ready to move forward. The majority of Democrats are ready to move forward. And I believe the majority of Americans are ready to move forward. But the fact is, without bipartisan support, as we had just a few years ago, we cannot solve this problem. Reform that brings accountability to our immigration system cannot pass without Republican votes. That is the political and mathematical reality.
Joining me now is a real live Republican, Congressman Bilbray of California. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Great to be with you.
Congressman, what did you think of the speech today?
I think that the president went over the same ground that everybody's been going over for the last few years. Sadly, I was hoping for him to look for that bipartisan effort that he could have brought up that he ignored, and that's the big bipartisan effort is the Schuler bill, where you have over 230 Democrats and Republicans, almost evenly split, supporting a bill that kind of follows up on what the president's been doing with requiring E-Verify for all federal contractors. He missed that one, and that's the middle ground where everybody can work together.
That's okay. I'm going to jump in because I know you're a big proponent of the Schuler bill. First of all, on bipartisanship, isn't it the case that any kind of comprehensive reform is going to look very much like the already crafted bipartisan McCain-Kennedy bill that members of the Republican caucus killed several years ago? So isn't there already a bipartisan framework in place for comprehensive reform, which I don't think you can call the Schuler bill comprehensive?
Well, I would have, except you use the word, and a lot of people in this town use comprehensive as a catchword for the amnesty proposal that reflects the mistake we made in '86, which is something that really gets people upset. If you're talking about requiring all employers use E-Verify, that we crack down on the source of the problem, illegal employers, but to hold all the process hostage for a proposal to somehow accommodate those who are illegally here before we talk about stopping illegal immigration is the one that sets people off.
But why is that such a problem? Explain to me why that's such a problem. Why is it such a problem that there are 11 million people illegally here?
Because you ought to come down to Latin America like I do. You're telling the world that we're going to reward the people that come here illegally while we have 100 million that have waited patiently, paid by the rules. You won't be able to control the border if you announce another amnesty. You won't be able to build a fence tall enough if you announce to the world we're going to reward those who break our laws while we tell those who play by the rules to wait patiently. It's just counterintuitive.
Right, but the problem is that if you don't deal with those 11 million people, what do you do with them?
Well, what you first do is you crack down on the people that are paying them to stay here. That's what you do first.
But
what
Congressman,
you know
that is not going to solve the problem.
Well, to solve the problem is to prove to the American people that Congress is willing to get tough on the real bad guys here, and that's the employers. That is the problem. That is overwhelmingly the #1 source for people to come here and stay here illegally. And if you really think they're coming here for some other programs, you really haven't seen the statistics. The employers are the source. So why does a Democratic president who claims to be progressive not be willing to crack down on the illegal employers who are exploiting this labor, the people that are making money off of illegal immigration? It's not just the illegal worker, but it's mostly the wealthy employers who are exploiting it. How can someone call themselves a progressive and not be willing to crack down on these guys that are the source? That was the problem with George Bush. He was willing to do amnesty because it rewarded the employers with more cheap labor, and the people that were his buddies, and that's why people were outraged at George Bush. Now this president is doing the same mistake by not willing to prove to the American people that he'll finally do the right thing, take on the rich guys, the employers who are actually the ones profiteering from all of this and doing it under the process that everyone agrees ought to be done. Require everybody just to check that Social Security and numbers matter, and not talk about telling the world that we're going to reward people for breaking the rules. Any parent could tell you the only thing worse than rewarding a child who breaks the rules is to reward that child in front of the kids who have played by the rules. You can't ask the world to respect our laws when we tell them we won't.
Congressman Bilbray, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
You have a good 4th of July.
Absolutely.
All right. Now let's